we are going to just mention the curling. Iona is has been curling. Iona has a friend whose cousin is in the women's Olympic curling team. Is that right, Iona?
It is, yes.
That's the
It feels a lot more tenuous when you say
I think that's amazing.
it.
So for those of you that don't care about curling, I'm going to make you care. We're in the final of the men's curling, and yesterday was very exciting watching them beat Switzerland and on the last stone of the last end, get me, and we're in the final. So I am going to attempt to drop 8 curling terms into the conversation over the next 55 minutes. And if you can spot me saying them, you can stick your hand up and you get a big prize. Um, George is already thinks he's spotted one. What was that, George?
Stick.
No, I think technically stick is not a curling phrase.
Stone.
But,
Stone.
but
Stone. You said stone.
all right, okay, right. I haven't started yet.
You
But
also
fingers
said
crossed.
get your house in order. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
another
yeah.
one.
Anyway, very exciting. But Iona, are you going to share with us? Hello, Neil. Hi, Margaret.
Hello.
Are you going to share with us your photograph?
Yeah,
This is one of the most dramatic curling photographs you're ever likely to see.
prepare to
Here it
have
comes.
your
This
socks
is at Stranraer.
blown off.
Get ready.
This is the
Here it
only
comes.
picture I have from when I went curling. Way!
There we go.
Um,
That's
as I
when
said to
I.
Tom, though, the whole left-hand wall there is a sort of Swiss snowy mountain fresco that may have been painted by primary school children. I don't know, but it really adds to the sort of curling experience because you feel like you're
Yeah,
in the Alps. Not
Cortina.
that's where you curl, but there we are.
I wonder if the cows get confused. Hang on, we were in Scotland a minute ago. Now we're in the Alps.
Possibly. All right, thank you, Iona. That's sensational.
Are you sure
I
you
hope
want me
one
to stop
day
it? Are
you'll.
you sure you want it to end?
I
There we go.
hope one day your name gets onto that awards board that I saw on the top of the
Yeah,
above the
that is.
1970s photographs.
It's only got my name on it. No one else is on
Okay.
there.
Right. Well, let's get over the hog line with this morning's call.
That was one.
Thank you. Hog line. That's where you have to basically let go of the stone before you get to the hog line. We are going to hear about the lovely 2 new exhibitions that have opened at Tully from Sarah, who is in charge of all clever things at Tully, including lots of very important curation. Great exhibition about gladiators, which has come from the British Museum. And also, alongside that and parallel, some really interesting artifacts that have been dug up at the cricket club at Carlisle Cricket Club for the Roman dig there. And Pete's been doing some of that digging and is going to share a few thoughts as well. Then we're also going to hear from Angela Locke, who is a writer that some of you will know, I'm sure. Also helps run the Maryport Literary Festival. And I see that Jane is, did I see that?
Yeah.
Someone else, Jane, there she is, at Sandhouse Roman Museum. So not only is there a Roman theme at Sandhouse Roman Museum and the Roman Dig, but it's where the Maryport Literary Festival is going to be hosted as well. So we're going to hear about that. And then Patricia Townsend joins us as well. She's a writer at Lowick and has got a really interesting looking book coming out with a launch next week, all as a response to her father who fought in the Second World War and became the person that he became. And this is, I guess, Patricia, this is your response to some of the letters that he wrote as part of that life that he led in the Second World War. So really interesting looking stuff there as well. So we'll look at some of those things too. That is the plan for this morning. But before we do that, we're just going to have a quick reflection on the big meet which took place at Tully last Saturday, when about 80 people, young people, a lot of them, not all of them, came together for one of our kind of twice every year, we try and get people together face to face somewhere in Cumbria to talk about stuff. So Kate, you're the director of CACN. You were there. Just give us some quick reflections, and then we've got a tiny bit of film that we made of the event as well.
Yeah, we had a really good day. It was a first for us to try and do one of our big meets on a Saturday because historically they've been during the week. But that was a deliberate attempt to make it more accessible to younger people who might be working or studying or at school during the week. So yeah, it felt like a bit of a risk. It took us quite a long time to make that decision, but to have 80 odd people show up shows that that was a good thing to do. Um, it just had a real buzz about it, and it was such a pleasure to be in the company of so many lively young creatives, but also for those young creatives to be mixing with lively older creatives and experienced people with lots of knowledge of the sector, and for connections to be made and yeah, introductions, connections that felt really, really useful.
Okay,
And
should we just see a quick bit of film and then pick up from
yeah,
the film? All right. So we'll just play
can I
this.
say one more thing before we
Yeah.
do that? I just Tully were brilliant, I have to say, Sarah, and I have said as much to the powers that be. It was a great place to be, and the staff were excellent, and we were made really welcome.
There we go. That was a little film. Do you want to say anything else, Kate?
Well, it's worth just saying that the purpose of the day was to demystify the culture sector for people who are new to it. So we had a whole range of speakers, often in twos, so sort of two people in conversation. We covered things like how to set up a CIC, how to sort of sort your finances. We talked and heard from people in different roles across the sector, and we had breakout groups which were designed to have younger people tell us what else can Cumbria Arts and Culture Network do through the See It to Be It project, which is about helping young people into creative careers to make it more possible for them. So we've come away with a long to-do list that we will now pick up and try and move forward.
Great. Thank you very much indeed. So yeah, I think we had 17 speakers altogether. And just to reiterate, yeah, great to be at Tully and look around. And thanks to everybody who's involved in putting all that together. And as you say, stuff to chew over going forwards. But very much focused on See It to Bid, which, as you know, is an Arts Council funded, local authority funded piece of work we're doing for 2 years. We're about a quarter of the way through it now to help particularly young creatives in Cumbria see opportunities to build creative careers in Cumbria. All right, thank you very much, Kate. Let's stay at Tully because as part of that day last Saturday, people got the chance kindly to have a look at the exhibition which had just opened, the 2 new exhibitions that had just opened in that lovely space downstairs at Tully, which, by the way, looks great since it's been redone. And if you haven't been there, have a good look around next time you're in Carlisle. So what I thought we'd do, we'd say hello to Sarah McGlynn, who is in charge of curating exhibitions at Tully. Sarah, do you want to just say a few words, first of all, about how the exhibition came about? And then we'll watch the 5-minute film that was kindly shot for this call so that we can have a look around the actual exhibition itself. And then we'll pick up with you and with Pete, who's been involved in some of the digging going on at the cricket club. So tell us how it came about, first of all.
Well, we've got this long-standing partnership with the British Museum, and many of you will know that we've got our partnership gallery, the Frontier Gallery downstairs, which focuses on Romans and is a mixture of Tully's collection and also British Museum objects as well. So we've got that long-standing partnership. So when they were looking to tour the Gladiators exhibition, they came to us and they said, would we like to partner with them? So we had been in this conversation from the very early stages, and the exhibition has toured to 4 other places. It's been to Dorset and Northampton and Chester, and finally finishing in Carlisle, the most northerly place on the tour. So that's a lovely partnership, and we've been really excited about that. However, as you know, we don't have an arena here in Carlisle are we're in between Chester and Trimontium in Scotland. So our Roman story is much more about the soldiers who were on the wall, and we've focused in on that side of the story as well. But similarly, we've got a brilliant long-standing relationship with the cricket club as well, which is just fabulous. And this is the third time that they've been generous enough to lend us their objects to display. The first two were based on the bathhouse excavation, and now we think that we are possibly, I say we as if I had been on the dig, I haven't, but as if we think that possibly a temple is being excavated, which is really exciting. And so that gave us the opportunity to kind of think slightly differently about a theme of what we would display. And we've concentrated on themes of ritual and religion and migration. And just that thought that the people who came here to work on the wall and brought their families here had travelled all the way from North Africa, from Syria. We see evidences of North African techniques and Syrian glass. So people had they'd moved and they'd settled here in Carlisle, which probably was a bit of a culture shock climate-wise for them. But yeah, so it's very, very interesting.
Okay, great. Well, let's watch a little film, let's be shown around the exhibition, then we'll pick up off the back of that. So these are the kind people at Tully showing us around their exhibition. On the button,
Good morning, everyone. I'm Matthew, and I'm the Human History Curator here at Tully. I'm going to give you a quick tour of our Season of Rome exhibitions. That is the Gladiators of Britain touring exhibition from the British Museum in partnership with Colchester and Ipswich Museums. And then our Uncovering Rome and Carlisle, Where World's Next exhibition as well. And both of these are all together in our gallery space until the 31st of May. So we start off with a look at gladiator arenas, where they were in Britannia, and also some objects relating to arenas elsewhere in the Empire. There's a lovely coin showing the Colosseum in Rome. So we look at the gladiator fights themselves, and we have on display here the amazing Colchester vase that shows images of gladiators fighting, probably from about that took place in the province itself. We have two named gladiators on the front there, and it's just amazing relief. We have on display the Porkerton helmet from Suffolk, which is the only confirmed gladiator helmet that's been found in this country, alongside a replica of how the face guard would have looked.
So it turned out not to be bronze, which is a mixture of tin and copper. It turned out to be...
We look at how gladiator fights were commemorated in souvenirs. So we've got a really nice selection of pottery lamps, both from this country and elsewhere in the Empire, and a lovely little glass vessel showing some gladiators in combat as well. And then we also have an area at the end of the exhibition that shows more of the local story here in Carlisle. And we don't have any evidence here for gladiators themselves, so we kind of look at how the lives of soldiers would have compared, so how they would have passed their time, how they would have trained for battle as well. And we have this amazing surviving wooden target post here that would have been used by the soldiers at the fort at Luguvallium for training in close combat. And you can see on here all of these scratch marks, and each one of those will be, an attack point. And it's really amazing to have this here so close to where it was actually excavated, just on the road behind where we are as well. And then our second exhibition here at the minute is looking at uncovering Roman Carlisle. So we have an array of objects from the recent excavations at Carlisle Cricket Club. And this is the third time we've showcased the finds from that excavation. So there'll be things, if you were at those exhibitions, you might recognise some of the objects on display, but some of them are brand new as well from the latest seasons of digs. So the theme for this iteration of the exhibition is Where Worlds Met. So we're looking at the geographical diversity of all the goods and ideas and people that found themselves in Rome and Carlisle. So we're looking at geographical diversity. So some of the items on show that we've got here are these lovely bits of jewellery. So we have some beads, both from sourced from elsewhere in the province, so things like Whitby jet, but also from much further afield, like these lovely little Egyptian glass beads. Alongside these, we have some vaulting tubes that were used for creating arches in architecture. That was a very distinctive North African style of architecture. And then alongside these, we have this lovely film running, looking at Carlisle's migrant communities today and how they reflect on some of these objects as they went to visit them. And of course, the stars of the show, anyone who knows anything about the digs here at the Cricket Club of Carlisle will have seen these before. These are the really lovely stone heads, really enigmatic designs. Made out of local sandstone. As well as the heads, there's also some new objects that people won't have seen before. Some of the items on show here are from the newly investigated complex that is believed to be a temple. So there's some really lovely finds here for people to look at as well. Beautiful pipe clay figurine and little portable altar. And of course the lovely intaglios that have been found as well.
Wow, just amazing stuff. Some of it very much on our doorstep as well. Just imagine if you were the person that found that gladiator's helmet, wherever that was found. I can't remember where that was found. And those temple heads as well, as our friend there said, they're very much the stars of the show. Let me bring in Pete, because Pete, you've done quite a lot of the digging that's been going on at Carlisle Cricket Club over the years, and I think you've also been involved in organising workshops around it all. So just tell us a bit about what it's been like digging there.
It's well, I only did it started last year. It's something I've always wanted to do, having watched things like Time Team and stuff like that. So to actually get my hands in the soil with a spade or a trowel and scrape away, and the hope that you're going to find something amazing any second as you're going down. But also the camaraderie, everybody's really friendly. It's a voluntary dig. So everybody wants to be there, as opposed to in Roman times, they may not have. And I've met people from all different walks of life.
What have you found yourself, Pete?
Myself, lead seal from when messages were sent between camps. They were sealed, so they couldn't be like a wax seal from more recent times.
Okay.
I found a piece of Samianware with a name scraped in it, it said Aprilus, which means it belonged, Aprili, so double I at the end, which means it belonged to Aprilus. So somebody had
the
scratched
genitive
their
declension, the genitive.
Yeah. Well, it's all Latin.
My fourth year Latin there.
Yeah, a piece of, as Sarah said, from North Africa, I found a piece of Egyptian glass, which was quite exciting. The colour was slightly different to the standard Roman glass.
Wow.
So that was nice.
And is digging taking place there this year as well, Pete?
Yes, it's starting in towards the end of April and into May. And I will be tour guiding on some of it. So if anybody wants to turn up, I may be there. There will be tour guides, and it's very comprehensive. You get a good look around and perhaps see some of the finds and things like that. Yeah. And they'll be digging, as Sarah said, the temple area, but also next to it, they discovered what they think are post holes for some sort of portico. So they're going to extend the dig and a couple of yards towards the river, and try and work out what that building was as well.
So still a sense that there's lots to discover.
Absolutely, absolutely. The only thing that's stopping us is the road and the trees, but we can't get to those, obviously. So we just have to finish at the roots.
And Sarah, do you find that the audience that Tully attracts and is trying to attract, are they engaged in the Roman history?
Absolutely. It's really funny. Since we did our previous exhibition a couple of years ago, the main question people stop and ask me as I'm walking through the museum is, when are the heads coming back? People are absolutely connected to the dig, and they very much feel like it's their dig, so even if they haven't been on it themselves, it's their dig, that's their objects, and people are really, really enjoying it and connected. And what's brilliant is kind of listening to the conversations that are happening in the gallery as well. So when people come in and they start to tell their story of, oh, I was there when this was found, or my neighbour found this, or did you know about that, is one sort of side of things. But we're also getting quite a bit of sort of scholarly information as well. So people will kind of come in and say, oh, actually, I know a bit about this, and this is what I think about X and Y, which is brilliant. Another thing that's quite interesting that is a big difference between this exhibition and the previous one is that the Uncovering Roman Carlisle team have had some 3D models printed. So we've got some little models of what the bathhouse might have been like, and bits and pieces like that. So people can kind of come in and get a little bit more of a sense of it, because it is quite difficult when you see a fragment of something. It's sometimes hard to imagine what the full thing was like.
Yeah, on that note of people being involved, while I was there in the summer, or no, in the autumn, a lady came up to me, and she must have been in her 80s. And she wanted to talk to one of the archaeologists, because years ago, she lived in Stanix, and years ago they had some work done on the garden, some drains dug in the garden, and they found some Roman remains there, but they covered them up again. So she was wanting to tell people that there was Roman remains at this address, so they could build a bigger picture of what the complex was like.
Yeah. And I guess, there's a sense that, should Carlisle be making more of its Romanness in the way that York does, or whatever, blah, blah, blah. Probably a conversation for another time. Kate, you said in your chat there, personally, I found the recent finds breathtaking, definitely worth a visit. What took your breath away?
So I think the things that fascinated me most were just the beautiful brooches and jewels. They're just so colourful. It just makes the hair stand up on the back of your neck when you think where they've come from and how long they've been underground, and then what it must have been like to uncover it. I can't imagine. I just think everybody should go and see it. It's it is breathtaking, and it was great to be there on the preview evening when people saw it for the first time, because you can actually hear people taking a breath and being amazed in front of it. It was really special.
I think
Go on, Sarah.
Sorry, I was going to say, I think on top of that, Kate, I think you're exactly right about the colour, because it does take your breath away. And I kind of, every time this is my third Roman exhibition I've worked on since I've been at Tully, and every time I kind of think, Romans, it's just going to be some kind of grey stone, and then every time I'm absolutely astounded by the range of colour and how brilliant it was, and what the colourful, bustling, exciting Roman world must have been like. I think it's just fabulous. And you're right, the jewellery is lovely, and we've got some beautiful little dog brooches as well as the gold beads, and it's just gorgeous. And I think that the Roman people must have just looked so fabulous as they walked around wearing all of these lovely things.
I'll ask a practical question. So for example, that big wooden target practice piece that was found, I think, just down the road from Tully, where's that stored when it's not on display at Tully? How do you look after that?
Well, interestingly, it's just come back from being on loan to the huge, really important Legion exhibition at the British Museum, which kind of, it just demonstrates what an important piece it is in our collection. It's very, very significant. And yeah, so it's just very, very carefully wrapped in acid-free tissue and kept in our stores. And it's just fabulous to bring it out, actually. And it's big, it's very big, and you can see all the marks on it, just as Matthew was saying. So it's easy to imagine what it was like being a gladiator and doing that training.
Yeah. I'm looking at Jane at Sandhouse Roman Museum. Jane, you must be, I don't know whether envious is the right word, but it's nice to see this Roman stuff on display just down the road at Carlisle, isn't it?
Yeah, it is actually. Yeah, no, I think it's great. It's really exciting excavation. Actually, it's really it really puts Roman Cumbria on the map. On the map, I think, and certainly with the Gladiators exhibition as well, which I haven't seen, but I will be seeing fairly soon. I'll be heading that way to have a look. No, it is. No, I'm very happy, really happy. More Roman stuff happening in Cumbria is great.
What's the sort of what's the best bit you've got in your museum in Maryport? You know, of something that's been dug up in your part of the world.
That's a really good question, actually. It's like asking, what is your favourite child? Well, I mean, of course, we're famous for our Roman altars, aren't we? And the stories that they can tell. I think probably my own personal favourite is the relief of Epona, the horse goddess. Bearing in mind it is the year of the horse this year, so
and that was dug up. That was dug up near where you are. Was it?
Yeah. That was found in the middle of the Roman fort at Maryport.
Wow. Okay. I've lots to learn about Roman history. I know we've got Derek on the call, who is a classics scholar of deep renown. But I didn't really enjoy Roman history at school, if I'm honest with you. It was like a tattered orange textbook that I found very dull and boring. And partly, I think, because I had to learn Latin for 2 years alongside it. It didn't do much for me in the way that it was taught. So it's really important this stuff comes alive. And I think the way the stories are told about it, you know, that the way the stories are done. So I noticed at Tully, there's quite a lot of things that kids can get involved in, isn't there? And, you know, obviously engagement with younger people as well.
Yeah.
So Sarah, how long is that on for at Tully? It's just opened, hasn't it, a couple of weeks ago?
It's just opened. We're open every day, 10 till 4 till the 31st of May. And I was just kind of going to jump in and say about bringing it to life. We've got a really amazing events program sitting alongside the exhibition. So we've got a big afternoon of talks celebrating Roman women in Carlisle and the arena on Saturday the 7th of March. So that sort of is in conjunction of International Women's Day. We've got talks about the gladiatorial world and arena insights coming later in May. Then at the end of May, we've got a Roman festival for children and young people. We've got Mary Beard coming, but unfortunately that is sold out, but that's very exciting. So there's a lot of Roman activity. Our half-term activities are all themed about the Romans as well. So as well as seeing the exhibition, you can do that. We've also got a star Roman surprise item on our menu in the cafe, which it's a secret, but I can tell you that it's got spiced honey and raspberries, which are Roman ingredients. It's really delicious. And also, you know, a range of fabulous Roman merchandise in the shop. So you've got that kind of all-round Roman experience when you come to Tully at the moment.
Great stuff. Tim's got a question.
Just a very quick one, if I may. Probably my own ignorance, but obviously young people go to Tully to see the objects, but do objects come to young people at schools and go around and tell a story at assembly and things like that? Because there's some fantastic stories that could be told just to stimulate the young people before they get to Tully.
Yeah, we do. We've got a mix. So we've got a handling collection which can come out sort of in person to schools, but we also do a really popular online Roman assembly which goes out to schools nationally and can even be international as well. And often when we do that, there's sort of over 1,000 kids online at once, which is brilliant.
Wow. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Derek asks. Sorry, Pete, you can say something.
Yeah, with regards to the dig, schools visit the dig and get to handle the 3D printed objects. Some of them dress up as Roman soldiers, and you see them marching around going sin dex, sin dex, sin dex around the site and talking to the archaeologists.
And what about Derek's question? Most digs result in a mix of confirmation of or challenges to previous knowledge or presumptions. What's the balance of these from this dig? Has it thrown up some questions?
Yeah, things change all the time. I'm not one of the archaeologists, so I can't say exactly. But originally, as Sarah called it, it was a bathhouse because they found a Hadrianic bathhouse there. But then since then, it's now a mansio, which is a much larger building that had a bathhouse within it.
Right.
And now it's got the temple. So it's constantly, each dig seems to be revealing a little bit more about the site,
Yeah.
and changing people's ideas.
And who'd have thought the Romans played cricket? That's astonishing, isn't it? You know,
Yeah.
to be so close to the
Well,
cricket.
what's really interesting, they've done LiDAR on the cricket pitch, which is 10 yards away from the dig, and there's no evidence of any buildings there at all.
Right.
So it's
So,
quite peculiar.
okay, all right, okay.
Could be
Well,
the change in the river that's done that. The river might have run where the cricket pitch is now. So
it's a great exhibition. Both of them are great exhibitions. I remember the chap who's in charge of is it with an Italian sounding surname?
Frank Jacko.
Frank Jacko. He showed me a kind of a little item which is his favorite. I think it's kind of like a sort of credit card sized thing you get when you have done something good, or ownership, a bit like a library card. Tell us what that is, Pete.
That I think you're referring there to the I don't know what it's called, but basically it's a sort of certificate you get. Presumably a soldier has been conscripted and he served 25 years
That's
in
it.
the army. And then after his 25 years, he gets his card to say he's now a free man.
That's the one. Yeah, he was particularly excited by that, and there it is, sitting in a glass cabinet in Tully. All right, Sarah and Pete, thanks ever so much for sharing your reflections on that. It's a really great exhibition. I think Iona's put a link into it, and if you find yourself in Carlisle this side of the end of May, then I suggest you go and have a look at it because it's great.
Come and have a look at the dig as well.
Come and have a look at the dig as well, and lots of information online about that too. And there, something about dormice that I didn't know that Derek has put into chat as well. Right. Okay. Thank you ever so much. That's really fascinating, and I love all that kind of stuff. And it's great to hear about it on this call. Let's go to Maryport then, and Angela, who is one of the organisers of the literary festival there. I'm just making sure that Angela is on. Angela, look, there she is. Angela,
you can't see me, Tom. I don't know why you can't see me. I've tried every bit. I seem to be skulking.
Tell us about the literary festival that's coming up.
Yeah. Can you
We can hear you. We can hear you.
Yeah. How can I get my picture up? Can you see? I can't see me.
No, we can't see you either, but we can hear you. So if you'd like to tell us about the literary festival, that would be great.
Okay. Yes, well, that's kicking off next week on Friday, the 27th, 28th, and the 1st of March. So that'll be absolutely fantastic. It was the first time in, I think it's 18, isn't it, Jane? We haven't actually counted it up very well. 18 festivals. We've actually got all Cumbrian writers, which is either living in Cumbria or have come from Cumbria or whatever, which is a very special time. As you know, we don't focus necessarily on bestsellers. We people with interesting stories, interesting books, and the whole idea of the festival theme, which is Light Over Water, A Voyage of Discovery, was the idea from Tim Severin's voyage 50 years ago. So this is a celebration of the anniversary. So he's the only one, the late Tim Severin, who is not a Cumbrian, but the Celtic theme is very strong. And in the 6th century, St. Brendan was supposed to have sailed from Ireland to the US. And it became a sort of mythical story over the centuries. And eventually people thought it was just a myth until Tim Severin decided he was going to replicate the voyage and had a leather korak made exactly according to the spec. And he and his crew sailed to America in it, including being hit by an iceberg. And it was an incredible story, and they've made an amazing film on the way. So that's the idea behind it. And so as usual, we have a theme, and we weave that into. Jane and I hardly see each other in a year, I think, but we managed to talk on the phone and brainstorm and bring in writers. And this time we've had a wonderful flood of writers from Cumbria. And then we sort of see, do they fit the theme and all the rest of it? So you then end up with a really tremendous sort of buzz by the end of the weekend when we've had, Venus or the horse or whatever. The ideas flow over the weekend. Everybody starts talking about them. By the end of the weekend, you feel you know a lot more about the theme itself. So there's a gestalt, really, a wholeness about it, which is really, really exciting. And we've got Gerald Bonington, Chris's half brother, who's written an amazing biography of his father, who's also Chris's father. You can see where Chris gets his adventurous nature from, including being a jackaroo in Australia and being in the Andaman Islands. And that's amazing. It was his second book. Also, John Porter, who's a mountaineer, of course. I knew him because he had the next door allotment to me. And he's actually done something that not many mountaineers seem to do, which is write a poetry book about the mountains, not in a lyrical way, but in a I'm really scared at base camp kind of way as well as some prose in there. And it's a beautiful little book, really worth sharing. And we've got John Little, who's very, very popular on the West Coast. He's got quite a fan club, so that's exciting. Richard Valentine, who's in the middle of his book on Odysseus and the idea of Odysseus and his manifestations in literature, etc., etc. Robert Farrar, who I pinched from Words by the Water, actually, because I hosted him there. A lighthouse keeper who kept a wonderful record of his watching wildflowers and wild birds and all the rest of it. So it's a beautiful book. Katie Hale, of course, Cumbrian, The Edge of Solitude, A Journey to the Furthest Reaches of Antarctica, and John Mather, who thought it was a good idea on his 60th birthday to swim all the lakes. So that was unbelievable, really. So that's all. David Ashworth has been weaving music and lyrical ideas, words together to create an image of the Solway. So he's going to be fascinating. And Rosie DeMello, who is involved in the conservation with young people on the Solway Coast National Landscape. She's going to be talking about. I didn't know about wormholes. I don't know if anybody else does. I think they're called wormholes. Extraordinary objects that are on the coast of Allenby, and you just look at it in a new way, really. So I think I've said everybody.
Yeah, we've been looking at the website while you've been talking, and I've been scrolling through what we're looking at. Tell us a bit about your new book as well, Angela.
I forgot about that.
A picture of the cover of in a second. You've got a new book out, and it's quite an interesting take on a farming story, isn't it?
That's right. Yes, it's set on a marginal farm in Cumbria. Very loosely based on where we used to farm Herdwick sheep. And the hero is a young farmer who, he's 15 years old, he has cerebral palsy, and his father wants him to be the best he can be. So he really does kick ass and give him a bad time. And so they have this rather dynamic relationship. But his two ambitions are to breed champion Herdwick tup and also to be a particle physicist, both of which he's going to achieve because he's a brilliant boy. But the way he looks at their world, almost like a particle physicist, almost with a sort of magic. He has this name, Merthin, which he doesn't know about. He's called Dan, and yet this name keeps calling him. And a lot of it is about finding out the secrets of his past, the tragedy of his past. And he's drawn down to the ravine, down to the river, endlessly he's been called on by this name, Merthin, of course, which is the Welsh for Merlin, but it's about Merlin in a different way, or Merlins. There were, of course, many, many Merlins at the Welsh court, which was also Cumbria. Wise men, seers. He has extra gifts. As I've worked quite a lot with different abilities, and the book is dedicated to my pupil Sophie, who is profoundly deaf, who I worked with every day for 4 years. And she was a brilliant photographer. She could see light in a different way. Often, if there are disabilities, there are wonderful gifts, hopefully.
That's what made you think about writing about a young farmer with cerebral palsy. That was your way in, if you like. That was your thinking
That's
behind
right.
it.
It was actually. It was. I don't know where it came from. It's taken me 11 years to write. And the landscape and the, if you like, the deep understanding of the landscape, which comes into the book, the passion for the landscape, and in an intense way, which I think is woven. I hope is woven into the book. He's a tough kid. He's 50 and he gets a rough time at school. It's a sink school, of which there aren't any in Cumbria, so hastily. But he has a really bad time. But he has this extraordinary ability to heal, to have a sort of empathy with animals, particularly his Herdwick sheep. And I loved my Herdwick sheep. When we had to leave our farm, I was heartbroken when the lambs are born in the spring. And they're such original, ancient creatures, So a lot of that's come in as well as a sort of touch of magic, if you like, but it's a question mark about what is magic and what is people seeing the world in a different way. So there's quite a lot of. I hope it's funny as well as being very tragic.
Okay.
So how he finds out why this name is attached to him, which he knows nothing about.
All right. Well, thank you for telling us about it, Angela. I know you're talking about the book at the festival as well, the Mount
Yes.
Festival. Just remind us again when the festival's taking place. Is it next weekend?
Yes, that's right. And it starts with Steve Watts, who some of you will know, or who I left out as well, which I shouldn't have done. He is an author and photographer, and he's been fundraising for a little boy who lost his legs after his parents threw him against the wall. You may know about him. He's raised a huge amount of money from this book called A Year Like No Other. And that's about the year of COVID. He took photographs every day. It's a beautiful book. All the money goes to help this little boy who's now, I think, about 8, and he's got prosthetic legs. So it's the ongoing support for him. So he's coming as our speaker on this Friday night to talk about his work. He's also one of the big sort of mountain guides for Cumbria, and I met him at Rydal Hall when I was running a course there. So he's a pretty special guy, and he's coming to open the festival, and then we kick off with John Little on Saturday. So I think we'll have a good audience for him.
Busy few days, Angela. Thanks ever so much for sharing that with us this morning. And good luck with the book. Looks really interesting. And
thank you, Tom. It's lovely to be here.
All right. Okay. Well, let's go from one book writer, book author, to another, which is Patricia Townsend, who some of you will know, sitting there in Lowick, in the beautiful part of central southern Cumbria. Patricia, we've got some slides we're going to share with you to conclude the call this morning, which Ida will pick up now. Would you like to just introduce yourself and then walk us through these slides?
Yes. Yes, so I'm a visual artist and more latterly a poet now. But I just wanted to, before we look through the slides, I just want to give a bit of background about how this book came to be. My father, Sam Townsend, who used to live in Lowick Bridge just down the road, he was in the Royal Engineers during World War II, and he went out to Normandy shortly after the D-Day, and he moved through Normandy, northern France, Belgium, Holland, and into Germany, and ended up in Hamburg at the end of the war. And all that time he was writing home to his parents very frequently, often every day. But and then when he was very active, it was less often. But we never knew anything about these letters. My father didn't talk about the war like a lot of soldiers, and we didn't know that the letters existed until shortly before he died, when he gave me a big brown envelope with 50 letters in it. And when I opened them, I just wasn't prepared for what I found, because they were so much more interesting and detailed than I'd expected. So I felt I had to respond to them. And my first idea was that I would hold an exhibition, because that's what I mostly do. But after 2 years of trying, I realized that actually I needed to write something. and that I decided to write letters to my father in response to his letters to my grandparents 80 years earlier. So the book is a series of letters to my father, and in which I talk to him about his letters and ask him questions and so on. And also there are a lot of photographs, some of which I took when I went on a journey to follow his route. So I did a lot of research to find out where he was when he wrote each letter, and then went on a journey following his route. So that's the background. So we could maybe go next slide, please. Okay, here are some of the letters. This is just a small selection of them. So you can see that they're quite long. Some of them are about 6 or 8 pages like that. Next slide, please. Okay, this is the first image in the book, which is a montaged image. It's a photograph of Arromanches Beach, which was Gold Beach, where the British landed on D-Day. And in the background, you'll see some sort of shadowy structures. That's the Mulberry Harbour that was built to help the British to land. And it was a sort of a false harbour, sort of along the outside, off the coast, because otherwise they had to wade through the water to get to the shore, and they wouldn't have been able to land tanks and so on. So what I've done here is take a photograph from 1944 of the same place, of Arromanches Beach, with the Mulberry Harbour, and I've montaged it with my own photograph. Okay, next slide, please. And this is the poem that goes with that. July 28th, 1944, Normandy. The Beaches. Your first letter home, marked 1, you write, I'm still a rolling stone, but ever faster. You've crossed to France, the voyage more like a pleasure steamer ride than the disaster of going to war. Disaster's my word, not yours. You've longed for this moment, no hint of dread. You sound full of life, zealous, careless of the torturous days ahead. Just after dawn, we're here where you began, at Arromanches-les-Bains. A bitter wind. I wish I'd brought a warmer coat. No sign now of the Mulberry Harbour that lined the coast for you. The abandoned beach stretches away from me, out of reach. Okay, could I have the next slide, please? So we've moved a bit further into France now. This is the River Somme at Piquigny, and I've montaged it with my father's letter, which was written from Piquigny. Next slide, please. And now we're in Belgium. Obviously, there are a lot more pages than this. I'm just giving you a quick selection. So September the 9th, 1944, veteran Belgium, holding the bridge. The Belgian people welcome you with wine, cheering you through the streets with gifts of flowers and mixed vegetables. A line of people pump your hand. But then a shift of fortune. We've been scrapping hard for 3 days and nights. Our fellows brought great credit on themselves. We had a number of casualties. An officer lost a leg, but is all right. I'm on the bridge at Veteran outside Ghent, where you fought off the attack by picked German infantry. Sappers aren't meant to do this job, but your infantry's too far back. The trauma of it's hard to comprehend. The man who lost his leg was your best friend. Next slide, please. September the 18th, 1944, Mechelen, Belgium. CACN, in memory of 26,000 Jews, Roma and Sinti deported to Auschwitz-Birkenau from 1942 to 1944. Something hidden remained unspoken. Now I discover what it is. I've seen a concentration camp. It has taken me the whole war to believe the stories of atrocities. You don't say where you were or what you saw. You're heading east to Mechelen, a transit camp set round a square. The prisoners bound for Auschwitz, just released. I'm there now. The camp's a residential block. There's a new museum, a wall of photographs, a sculpture, 3 black plates on a black table, father, mother, child beneath. I wonder if this is where you stood, witnessing damage that couldn't be made good. And this is the a picture of the camp as it was then in 1944. Next slide, please. Okay, now we're in Holland. They were stuck in southeast Holland for quite a long time because the previous Operation Market Garden, which involved the bridge at Arnhem, was, as you will probably know, was a disaster. So the army was just stuck waiting for Montgomery to make another plan. It happened to be a really bitter winter. So they were, I don't know if you can see that I've outlined some of the places there in yellow. Those were all the places they camped over that winter. Pigsty. So November the 10th, 1944, near Tilburg, Holland. Pigsty. You've had a narrow escape. You went the wrong way and ran your jeep along a bank with the enemy on the other side. They lobbed shells over, and your driver tried to hide in a pigsty. When you got him out, he drove off at a furious rate and ran into a lamppost. You and your driver were lucky to escape alive. In your story, you make light of this. The shells were lobbed as if it's a game of tennis. You joke that the rightful owners of the pigsty were disgruntled. But your own anxiety, surely sky high, has to be displaced. I laughed till the tears ran down my face. Could I have the next slide, please? Now they're coming up to the River Rhine now, which was really the main goal for them. While they were sort of stuck and waiting to go, the River Rhine was what they were working towards. March the 25th, 1945, Geldern, Germany. A very odd sensation. These are tremendous days, full of excitement and anticipation. It's night. You scan the river, trace your route. It's been a very odd sensation watching the build-up. Behind the Bund, you see 1,001 items move in, cloaked by smoke screens. You have to breach the bank before dawn. Your 6 bulldozers force the gap. Their sound drowned by a Wellington bomber overhead. Your bridging gear is heaved across the ground to the Rhine. You've got a queer, detached feeling at the enormity of it all, the like of which has hardly been seen before. Next slide, please. So this is the Rhine at the point where my father crossed it at Xanten. And it's montaged with a photograph of the Bailey Bridge built across the Rhine. It was mainly Bailey bridges they were building, which came in sections that arrived on lorries. So this bridge will have been made up of sections which were floated on these sort of rafts underneath. So I've montaged that photograph. It's from a photograph that was taken in 1945 of the bridge that I think my father would have been building. Next slide, please. April the 20th, 1945, Nendorf, Germany. Remembering Arnhem. In memory of 8,000 men of the 1st Airborne Division killed, missing or captured at Arnhem in Operation Market Garden. It's been a terrific week, and among the more stirring things was the liberation of a Stalag. Thousands of prisoners of war. You're amazed because many men from 1st Airborne at Arnhem with polished boots and trousers creased managed to lock up their guards, gave you a welcome. Heaven knows how they did it. You're impressed. I'm at Fallingbostel at the gates where you met the airmen who survived. Months ago you wrote, Arnhem was a great pity, but quite certainly worthwhile. Do you still think so? Or did these gritty men tell not of pity, but calamity? Next slide, please. May the 7th, 1945, Hamburg, Germany. Beyond belief. At last, the war in Europe's over. The tattered remnants of the greatest army Europe has known stream in and ask for orders. Hamburg surrenders. We prepare to occupy the Reich. A peculiar sensation to feel relief, to know you're safe. These are things we've all worked for, prayed for, hardly daring to believe this day would come. Now it's real. No more nightmares. The first and only time you've mentioned them. Now you needn't keep your feelings censored. They can burst out of line on a tide of liberty. But can you sleep? At long last I'll be home again on leave. Another thing you hardly dared believe. Next slide, please. So that's it. This is the book, obviously. You can get it on Amazon, but despite the fact that Waterstones and just about every other big bookshop advertises it on their website, they don't actually have any copies because the book is self-published and they only take published books. But you can also get it directly from me, so there's my email. And on Thursday, this coming Thursday, there's going to be a book launch at the Farmers Arms in Lowick. I know a lot of you are in North Lakes, but if you happen to be anywhere near, it would be very nice to see you there.
Patricia, it's a beautiful, beautiful looking book, and you've presented that beautifully in the last 15 minutes as well. I love the way that you've put his words in italics and blended those into your poems. I think that's so effective, and it's like a conversation is going on, but also a sense of reflection as well. Lots of lovely comments for you in chat as well, Patricia. Kathleen says, brilliant, love the images and the text as well as the poetry. It all fits together so beautifully. What a fantastic way to preserve your father's letters. Hope you're going to enter it for the Lakeland Book of the Year next year. And for Anne's benefit, those were letters written by Patricia's father to his parents, so Patricia's grandparents, while he was serving in the Second World War, particularly towards the latter stages with the move across the continent to close off the war at the end. Just really effective. I love the way that it's put together, Patricia, and the way that you explain how you've blended those photographs as well, the present and the past come together. How long has it taken you to do all that, Patricia? Has that been a work of many years?
5 years.
5 years.
5 years, yes. I had a bit of a gap in the middle where I did something else, but yes, because there was a lot of research involved, and it took me a long time also to decide that that's what I wanted to do. Having sort of not managed to get an exhibition together, although now there is going to be an exhibition at the Royal Engineers Museum at the end of this year. So
where's that?
It's in Gillingham, Nick, in Kent. So it's a long way away. It's just outside London.
He was a Royal Engineer, right?
He was a Royal Engineer, yeah. Yes.
Kate's got her hand up. Kate.
Well, just to say that was really very beautiful, and I can't wait to get my hands on a copy of the book. But I love the fact that it has taken so long, that you've had to think for such a long time about how to respond in the best way for you, and it's an incredible result.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
And Anne's just asking, can you put your email address? Oh, there we go. Iona's done that for us, so that she can get in touch with you to get hold of a copy of the book, should that be possible. That's really well, Patricia. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing that with us this morning. A very personal book, but one that I think works beautifully, and that it's a real joy to actually have a look at and see how you've done it as well. So thank you so much indeed.
Thank you very much.
Right, that's it for this morning. Thank you very much to Kate and to Iona for her beautiful photograph of Stranraer Ice Rink, to Sarah and Pete talking about Romans, and for Angela to talk about her book and Maryport Literary Festival, and Patricia there talking about her beautiful new book as well, with that opportunity to go to the launch next week.
Can I just say, somebody, I haven't got time to write all these before it disappears, but somebody said, will you sign it if we get it directly from you? The answer is yes. and yes, actually, it would also be a bit cheaper to get it directly from me. So
there you go. Everyone's a winner.
Do that.
All right. Next week, we're going to hear from Louis, whose surname I've forgotten. What's Louis' surname? I'm looking at people that might know, who runs Lakeland Arts. I can't remember. He's going to come on.
Martins.
Louis Martins. Lewis Martins, who's going to come on. Lakeland Arts that runs, of course, Blackwell and Windermere Jetty Museum and Abbott Hall. Is coming on to tell us about the health of Lakeland Arts. They've just got a big cash boost to do some more work. So I think about £250,000, something like that. So they're going to talk. He's going to come and talk about that. Haven't heard from him for a little while. And also from a couple of colleagues from the Arts Council who are running sessions in Whitehaven and in Barrow over the next few weeks to encourage people to come along with those to learn about how you can apply to the Arts Council for different pots of money. So we're going to hear from them next week as well, and probably something else as well, which I haven't worked out yet. In the meantime, enjoy the curling tomorrow evening. Words that I haven't got in are hammer, sweeping, the end, and one of my favourites, takeout, which is when you basically smash your stone against somebody else's and it takes it off the ice rink completely. So if you like your curling, play curling bingo when you watch the commentary, listen to the commentary on Saturday evening, tomorrow evening. Thanks for your time this morning. It's been great. As Derek says, a remarkable session. Thank you, Derek. Nice to see you all. See you all again soon. Bye-bye.
End.
Bye.
The end, Johnny Tom.